Okay, welcome to another video. What we're going to do today is check out the very latest version that's available of Feren OS, which is the July 2020 snapshot. And we're also going to congratulate the Feren OS Dev because this release marks their 5-year milestone. So it's like a happy birthday celebration for Feren OS. This version I still think is based upon 18.04, but the next major release will be shifting over to 20.04. So I've used Feren OS throughout the years here and there every time a new release has been announced, and I've always been very impressed with how far it progresses each time a new release has been announced. I believe it started on the Cinnamon desktop and then they switched over to KDE, which I think works better for this kind of distro, especially with like the theming and the layout switching than Cinnamon does. Anyway, I've cleared a disk for it using gparted, which is included in the live ISO. The ISO was about 1.83 GB. So we're going to go ahead and install it to disk. So we're going to go for the installer, which of course uses Calamares. Let's chuck that on London. Next, we're going to just erase disk and let it set it up by its default. So it's going to give us one EFI 300. And it's going to chuck the rest of the space all on root. So you get the one partition install. So the way Feren OS does it, it kind of almost like an OEM install. So when you restart, you'll then change certain things like your user account, I do believe, and also like it'll ask you again if you want to do British English, etc. So we're going to pause the video here, and we're going to make a note of the time. So it's 20 past 3. Okay, it's just completed at 27 minutes past 3, so a little over 7 minutes ish it took to install to disk. It is using an SSD. We're going to restart now, and then we're going to jump onto their website, have a look at what's new with this version, and just briefly go over the 5-year celebration page. They've also released a quite interesting video on their YouTube channel celebrating the history and 5 years of Feren OS, which I'll also link in the description to this video. Okay, so we've just booted back up and it's got this little bit here for the Feren OS setup. This is where you're going to make your user accounts as well. So we're going to go for next. We're going to click that little bit of London again. If I can see it on my capture screen. Does that say London? I hope it does. Okay, next. Next. Okay, user account time. Sorry, I'm having to look at my capture display window to do this before we can get into the display settings to set up a nice little mirror. Should be all good though. Okay, we're going to log in automatically without asking for a password and click set up. Right, so it's configuring locales. I think that's what that says. It's very hard for me to actually see that at the moment. So I guess including this part, which is probably going to add a minute onto your install time, you're looking at about an 8-minute install, so it's still under 10 minutes. Okay, we are done. So we're going to click done, and I'm going to have to very quickly set up a screen mirror so you can see what we're doing, but I'm going to pause the video while I do that so we don't have to waste any time. Okay, so here we are on our freshly installed Feren OS desktop, which of course is using KDE. Can we just take a second to appreciate how nice it looks? It's a very clean setup, and I'm liking the new position of the task manager here, which is in between the panel, in the middle of the panel. I'm going to imagine we've got a spacer on either side that's set to flexible, but we'll have a look at how they've set that up in a moment. So we're going to jump onto the website, which of course uses Vivaldi as the default web browser, but you can change that quite easily, I do believe, with the web browser switcher. We'll have a look at that in a moment as well. So let's jump onto the Feren OS website, which is here, and we're also going to open up the Feren OS Medium blog, because I do believe that has some of the actual new features in this latest release. Is this the one? No, we want the one below it. This one. Okay, so here we go. 5 years of Feren OS. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description to the video that I have released, which is this one here, which is quite interesting and definitely worth a watch. It's only about 5 minutes if I remember correctly. So yeah, it started with the Cinnamon desktop back in 2015, and then it switched over to KDE. However, I do believe the Feren OS Cinnamon version is still going under the name Feren OS Classic. But from what I've read, I think it's being phased out. So if we go down here, the community has spoken. Feren OS Classic will no longer be available after the next major Feren update, which of course will be using the 20.04 base and will bring with it a lot of extra features and improvements. So we're going to jump to their blog here and just see what's new in this current version before we have a little run through. Here we go. So the new snapshot, we have a new Feren maintenance. We'll check that out. We've got a new slew of backgrounds. The default wallpaper is very nice. I'm a big fan of that. The colours do mesh very well with the desktop. Let's keep going. New design for the store, update manager and more. Plasma 5.19. So the default layout now sports a centered task manager by default, which I did just comment on, and I do think looks very nice, kind of like Chrome OS-esque. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do then is have a little look around and see what's new and just have a bit of fun with Feren OS to celebrate their 5-year birthday. Right, I'm going to check out this panel first because I think my suspicions are probably correct. So we have a spacer there and a spacer there, and I think they're probably on flexible size. There we go. So I've implemented similar setups in my own KDE desktops over the years, and I've never managed to get it looking quite as centered and perfect as that. And I think that might be due to the fact that they don't actually keep the clock and stuff down here, the clock and the notification bells up there, which I actually quite like. I don't think that's too bad of an idea. So I think when you open a new application, as they're flexible, it should just always remain centered. Yeah, I like that. That's very nice indeed. Okay, cool. So let's check out the welcome screen, and we'll run through the welcome screen. So welcome to Feren OS. Thank you for choosing Feren OS. Okay, so install third-party codecs. We'll do that, but it might take a few seconds. So we'll check some other stuff out while that is actually doing that. So while that's doing that, let's see how easy it is to switch our web browser. So here we have the web browser switcher. There we go. So it's got a whole load of different ones, and it even has additions for coming soon, which is Microsoft Edge, which was a topic on my Discord channel the other day. Actually, I wasn't aware that it was coming to Linux, but there you go. And they have quite a few here. So you've got Brave, Opera, Waterfox, which I do believe is based on Firefox, Falcon, Gnome Web, Mozilla, Chromium. So let's go for Chromium, and we'll let that install Chromium for us. So let's type in our password. Right, let's minimize that. I do believe we're on to the next part. So that's the codecs installed. So let's click next. Right, we're going to leave the default desktop as it is for now, and we will look at the desktop layout switcher in a moment. I did a video kind of recently on Feren OS where we did go over them already. I'll link that somewhere up there. You can watch that as well, but we will briefly check them out again as well, because they do have my favorite Ubuntu Unity layout. Okay, cool. So we can change the accent color in the welcome screen here, kind of like what you can do on Linux Mint. So let's check that out. So the files manager is Nemo, probably version 4.4.2. So these colors here, the Windows control buttons, will probably change when we press a accent color here. So let's try the red. Is that red or is it pink? I'm not too sure. But as you can see, that has changed the default color now to red. We're going to change that back to blue. I must say, I really like the icon theme actually as well. It's a very clean icon theme. I think they're going to try and update that though for the next version. I think that's what I've read. But let's go into the appearance, the global theme. And you can see how much themes are actually available on here. They have done a really lot of work to sort of make it as inviting to customize as possible. You've got all these different colors, and then you've also got the desktop layout switches, which we'll look at in a moment. And there's even a tablet version for touchscreens. So you can change the accent color in here as well. We're going to leave it on the default for now. We'll change that in a moment. And it also has a little quick pairing for KDE Connect as well. Okay, so it's got like the color temperature changer, kind of like redshift and stuff, so you can configure night color so your screen's a bit easier on your eyes. And it also has a sort of schedule from sunset to sunrise, or I'm sure you could probably customize that. So let's go next. Okay, so we're all done with the welcome screen there. What we're going to do now then, oh, we've got another bit here. So you also have the user guide, you have quick links for customization, which will give you a link to the global theme in the desktop layout and the system settings. And then you have keyboard shortcuts, updates and extras. Shall we do an update? Let's go for a check for updates. Okay, so here's the update manager. Let's go for OK. And then that's going to see if there's any updates for us, which there is. We'll switch to a local mirror in a moment. I'm not too fussed about that right now. So let's type in our password, and that'll update all the packages that you can see on the screen there. So you've got Breeze, you've got Blue Devil, you've got Arc. So we're going to let that do that, and we're also going to see if our web browser has now been installed. So we did click Chromium, and as you can see there, it's got uninstall. So you can also uninstall Vivaldi all from here as well. I do like this. I've not spent too much time with Vivaldi. I've heard it's quite a good web browser though, so you might not even want to change it, to be fair, but it's good that they've got that web browser changer there to let the user make their own decision there, which is something I can definitely appreciate. Right, let's close that. So that's now going to be updating all of those packages there and installing the software. So let's jump into the desktop layout and switch it to my favourite layout, which of course is the Unity theme. Before we do that though, you have the Cupertino, which is kind of like the Mac OS layout, so it will give you a latte dock, I think is the dock at the bottom. We'll double check that though. So it will take a few seconds to refresh the screen. There we go. Wallpaper should appear. There we go. So I think that's a latte dock. Well, it might not be. What dock is this? Ah, so it's even changed that as well. So where's our launcher? Is it here? There you go. So you get a full screen launcher here when you do that. So is this latte? Well, we have latte dock there, so I'm going to imagine that is indeed latte dock. Dock settings. There we go. It is latte. Very nice customization on the theming there for latte dock. I do like that quite a bit. Right, let's jump into my favourite of all, which of course is Ubuntu Unity. I won't go through all the desktop layouts because, as I said, I have done a video where we've done that before that you can watch if you want to watch that as well. So let's apply that. Okay, we've got a little pop-up here. Do we want to replace? Let's just go to replace. There we go. Look at that. That's such a nice layout, isn't it? I really do like just the Ubuntu Unity layout. Okay, all updates have now finished. So what else do we have here? We have got restricted extras, which we've already got installed. We also have somewhere for drivers. We won't worry about that on here though. But there you go. Very nice indeed. Also, the Unity layout will switch your Windows control buttons to the left of the window. And in full screen in it, we'll pop them up there. Oh, I can't get over how nice this layout looks. Right, so let's check out these new wallpapers. Let's go to configure desktop. So what have we got? So there's quite a few here actually. We have the original, which is for the login screen. We will have a look at the login screen towards the end of this video. So we're on the aluminium default, or aluminum if you're American. We have 5 years, the 5-year celebration one. There you go, 5 years of Feren OS. That's quite a nice wallpaper as well. Let's check out a couple more before we have a little run through of the rest of the desktop. Oh, we've got some nice origami minimal stuff here. Nice, got a nice little origami bird, and I do believe we have an origami whale. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, we're going to leave that there. So we've also got some little things up here now. So it tells you user switcher, open system maintenance, which is what we wanted to do anyway. So that's pretty handy that they've got a quick link up there. So this is new in this version according to the release notes that we read on the Medium blog. So it's checking our system for issues. So we have install language packs and set up time shift. Let's set up time shift. So we're going to launch time shift, which will allow you to make snapshots of your system. So let's go for next, and we'll let that do that. And you also have system information here, crash reports and options. However, I can't actually select any of those at the moment while this snapshot setup wizard is going. Okay, let's just run through on the defaults, and we'll do it daily, and we'll go for finish. So let's create one, and now that's going to create a snapshot using rsync. So that's going to take a fair bit of time, so that's going to be two-ish minutes. So while it's doing that, let's briefly reacquaint ourselves with which applications Feren OS does come installed with. So you still get the full screen launcher on the Unity desktop layout. So let's start in education. You have LibreOffice Math, graphics, you have Critter, LibreOffice Draw, Ocular Photos and Simple Scan. So in Internet we'll have a couple of extra additions there like Chromium because we installed that. We didn't manage to uninstall Vivaldi. I'm going to imagine that's because we were doing the update at the same time, which would have sort of taken over the apt sort of stuff and not allowed us to do it. We'll try that again in a moment. We have Remnant Remote Desktop and of course the web browser switcher. Let's open that now and see if we can actually uninstall Vivaldi. Let's try that again. Let's go for yes, type in our password, and hopefully that will uninstall Vivaldi for us. Let's keep going. So that was Internet. There you go. So Vivaldi has now disappeared and it was successfully removed. You have Cheese for your webcam and VLC for media player, which is the best media player if you ask me. You've got the full LibreOffice suite there as well as calendar. I wonder what calendar this is. Is it GNOME calendar? It is indeed. Let's get out of that. So you can see the time to take is shot right up. It's because we're actually doing things at the moment, but that's all well and good. If we'd left that, that would have stayed on 2-ish minutes. So let's keep moving. Multimedia wise we've done, Office we've done. So here's your settings, and of course it does use the Quantum Theming Manager to get some of that nice pretty aesthetics which you can see on the screen. And then what does it have? So it has Feren and then all of the additional colors there. So what we're going to do now is jump into the global theme package and try out some of the different theming colors and stuff like that. So we have Feren Grey Dark, Feren Red Dark. Let's try Feren Grey Dark. Let's click apply. And now that will change the whole theming around. So let's open up files now. There you go. I quite like that as well. And I like the way it's changed the icons to a different sort of accent colour as well. That's very pretty indeed. Right, let's try one more different colour. What should we go for? Shall we try the green or cyan? How is that meant to be pronounced? Cyan? Who knows? Okay, so that's the dark version. Let's see if we can close these windows and whether they change at all. So that's the default look of it. That's nice though, I like that. Right, we're going to go back into the default, which is a very nice theme as it is anyway. Okay, cool. And let's just jump onto the icons page here and see what the icons are called. So they're called Inspire. So it is the icon set for Feren OS, and then you have the Inspire Dark as well. So that snapshot has finished, and as you can see there, it is still based on Ubuntu 18.04, but like we mentioned, the next major update will be featuring 20.04 as its base. Nice. Right, let's jump into this store now and see how that all works. Let's try and install a program. Let's say Steam. Let's go and install Steam. So it's going to pop up with the additional software that will be installed. So we're going to go to continue. It's going to ask you for your password, and then that's going to install Steam for us. Very nice and easy. It's quite a nice store actually. It's a bit like the Linux Mint store almost. So you also have a Flatpak section here, which will have all of the Flatpaks ready to be installed out of the box. So I'm going to imagine that's using the FlatHub repository. I wonder if we also have Snap. We don't have Snap. Nice. So it's just using Flatpak for universal applications. That's pretty cool. Okay, cool. So let's leave that like that. I do believe Steam has finished. So we can open up Steam now, and of course that will do the mandatory Steam update there. And what's the application switcher like? I like that actually, a nice full screen switcher, and you can see what each window has displayed, and it's painted them perfectly. Nice indeed. Okay, let's minimize that and let that do its business. So Vivaldi is still there. I do believe that's just because we've got it running though, isn't it? Yes, it is. So let's close that off now. So let's take a look at one more desktop layout before we end this video there. Do a reboot, check the RAM, and we will check out the login screen as well. But for a July 2020 snapshot marking their 5-year sort of milestone, it's a very nice setup, and I'm quite excited to see what the 20.04 version does bring with it. So let's check out their tablet modes. We don't have a touchscreen anyway, but we can kind of gather whether it would be good for a touchscreen, can't we, just by looking at it. Okay, so that will make the the panel a bit bigger from what I can tell. And then the spacing between the icons appears to still be the same, but that should be relatively easy to tap it with your finger. You have your minimize all windows button there, or show desktop. And it's the same application launcher as the default theme. I quite like this application launcher though, it's nice. Right, let's get out of that and let's quickly see if we have HTOP installed. We don't, so we're going to very quickly install HTOP. So that's going to install HTOP for us. And if we go into the about section, you can of course see we are using, so we was on KDE Plasma version 5.19.3 when we first started, and the update has now brought us to 5.19.4. Nice. So what's the kernel as well? Does it say here? Kernel version is 5.4.0-42 generic. So memory wise, so far we are on about 1.5 gig. The erase disk and just letting it automatically set up things didn't make a swap file. However, I don't really need a swap file unless I was planning to use Hibernate on this, and then we'd have quite a large swap file or swap partition, but that's all good. So let's close that. Let's check out this. Let me just change back to the other desktop layout. Let's go for the Ubuntu Unity. And then we're going to check out the login screen, do a restart, and then obviously check a RAM reading at boot. And we're going to wrap it up there. But like I said, do check the links in the description, because I think the video that they've released on their YouTube channel is very interesting. So we're going to close that now. and we're going to check out their login screen. So if we go here, we have our switch user, logout and shutdown buttons all there. So let's go for logout. I like the way that looks as well. So you get a little sleepy man there for sleep, restart, shutdown and log out, or if you leave it, it will automatically log out in 20 seconds, or you can click that X there and get back to your desktop. So let's go for log out now, and we are going to go to log out, and we're going to check out their login screen. Hopefully my display captures it. Let me just try and move the mouse to see if that works. There you go. So quite a nice little login screen there. I do like the default sort of colouring on the login screen. On the extended display, there you go, you can see you do also have the little bird there. If we switch it back, the bird is not there. So let's type in our password once more, and then we're going to do a restart, a reboot, and then we'll check out the RAM reading and just wrap it up there. But yeah, definitely very happy with this July snapshot. So let's go for reboot, and we'll be back in just a moment. Okay, we are back in business. Let's check old HTOP. So we're using 1 gig there, so it's quite high in the system resources and RAM wise. There you go, it's dropped down to 849 now. I wonder if, now I don't think it should, but I wonder if the desktop layout has any effect on that. Should we check it out? Should we change the desktop layout and then do another reboot and see if that does actually have any effect? Oh, I didn't also mention the Unity layout, of course, does have a global menu on the top left there as well. I'll tell you what, I'm going to try it. I don't think it is going to make much of a difference, but we should just double check anyway. So we're going to go to the default. So let's go back to Feren OS default, click apply. Right, I'm going to do a reboot and then we'll do a final RAM reading to see if that has in fact changed anything. I doubt it has. And then we're going to wrap it up there. And would you look at that, it has. So we're now at about 784. So the desktop layout there did actually add a few extra megabytes of RAM there. Nothing too crazy. I do believe there's about 100 meg difference though, which is quite interesting. Anyway, I will leave a link in the description, like I said, to the announcement of the 5-year milestone reach and the video. There is a development builds of the alpha build of 20.04 that's currently available. However, it's not really ready for reviews and stuff like that, so I wouldn't feel right doing a review of it. But we'll just quickly see if we can get the ISO, and I might check it out off camera and have a little play around with that as well. So if we go onto the Feren OS website, we should be able to just quickly find the 20.04 build as well. So let's go to get Feren OS. So I'm pretty sure. There we go. So we've got the development builds there. Is that the one that I'm thinking of for 20.04? There you go. So you can, of course, as well, if you want to test the latest alpha build of Feren OS, which is now using the 20.04 base. But that's it for the Feren OS July 2020 snapshot. Congratulations to the Feren OS Dev on 5 years of Feren OS. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and join the Discord. There's a link in the description. See you in the next one. Bye bye.